name is Elijah Figaro, and I'm here to tell you why GMOs are not as bad as you think. But in order to explain that, you have to know what is a GMO. A GMO is a genetically modified organism, GMO, and they are living organisms whose genetic material has been artificially manipulated in a laboratory through genetic engineering. And this creates combinations of plant, animal, bacteria, and virus genes that do not occur through nature and or through traditional crossbreeding methods. Most of these GMOs have been modified to withstand herbicides, have been modified to increase yield, and for other purposes in plant production. But the true question is, are GMOs safe? And this is a topic that has been hotly debated. Some people say that GMOs are safe. They have done studies, they've been approved by the FDA or the Food and Drug Administration in the United States, which also does their own studies. But some people don't believe the results that come through the FDA, so they take things into their own hands. I mean, there's even a company called the Non-GMO Project, which helps to bring awareness to the fact that GMOs have the potential to be dangerous. But even on their own website, they say that in the absence of credible, independent, long-term feeding studies, the safety of GMOs is unknown. It's unknown. It doesn't mean that it is inherently dangerous or not dangerous, but just that it's unknown. But even though the dangers for long-term are unknown, if the dangers were as imminent as they should have been, then GMOs would not be in our foods today. But GMOs are being used a lot in our foods today. On the FDA's website, it is said that 94% of all soybeans planted were GMO. GMO cotton made up 94% of all cotton planted, and 92% of all corn planted was GMO corn. In 2013, GMO canola was 95% of all canola planted, and GMO sugar beets has made up 99.9% of all sugar beets that are planted. The odds of you personally eating a food that has been genetically modified is extremely high. Corn is the most commonly grown crop in the United States, and most of it is GMO. So soybean also has GMOs, and a lot of these ingredients, a lot of these materials are in the foods that you eat, even if you don't know it, because maybe that food that you like has certain of corn or certain of soybean starch or certain of potato or certain cotton or certain of these things that end up in your food anyway. So for you to hate GMOs is really an interesting stance, because the odds of you eating a food that is or that has GMOs is extremely high. Unless you're eating foods that are specifically marked from the Non-GMO Project or another reputable source, the odds are very, very high that you have been eating GMOs without even knowing it. What are the pros and cons? Why do manufacturers decide to put GMOs in food? Well, the pros are that manufacturers want to give foods desirable traits. They want, for example, they would want to design an apple that turns less brown when it gets cut. Or they want to give crops that are resistant to certain diseases as they grow. And in order And when you add genetic code to these plants, so that they're resistant to certain diseases and they have certain traits, I mean, it's very beneficial, because at the end of the day, the more crop that is grown, that's the more of the apples or bananas that is able to be shipped out and sent to your grocery stores, and that's the more supply for 350 plus million Americans to eat. That's more supply for the 8.5 plus million New Yorkers to eat. So it's not really that bad. But there is a lot of opposition to this as well. I mean, not everything about GMOs is really nice. The oppositions is that there might be allergic reactions to GMOs, but there has been no research or reports of allergic reactions that are related to GMOs. Some people say that they might cause cancer, but once again, there's no official research that shows that there is a link between cancer and GMOs. The American Cancer Society has stated that. Others say that antibacterial resistance that is being created through genetic modification can affect the ability of people to fight illnesses, because there's a small chance that the genes from food could transfer over to humans. So if the food you eat has antibacterial resistance through antibodies, if you get a disease that needs that antibody, it is possible, at least according to the critics, that antibodies won't work on you because you've been eating this certain food that has been treated with these antibodies. But the World Health Organization has said that the risk of gene transfer is low. All in all, there really shouldn't be a discussion about whether GMOs are safe or not, whether you should eat them or not, because most likely you have been eating foods that has been through GMOs, that has been genetically modified. Most likely you have been eating foods that have been made with the help of genetic modification. And in my last video, I talked about using CRISPR to modify human embryos, and that this could be a concern. It's something that you should know about. But it's the same CRISPR that is used for plants and animals too. So if you watch my last video, you'll probably find a little bit more information about what CRISPR is and how it is being used. But in conclusion, GMOs are not as bad as you think they are.